Before moving the discussion forward, a short recap is necessary. In the previous video, we explored Vaishnavāchāra, that state where the mind moves a little beyond rules but begins to look for safety in relationships and emotional attachment, where a person says, if I belong to someone, if someone wants me, accepts me, claims me, then I am okay. We saw that Vaishnavāchāra teaches love, devotion and surrender. But it also shows that if there is no awareness in love, the same love can turn into bondage. When the reassurance coming from outside breaks, a new question is born within. And that very question brings us to today's topic. Today, we will talk about the third achara, Śaivāchāra. If in Vedāchāra the mind runs on rules, if in Vaishnavāchāra the mind is bound by relationships, then in Śaivāchāra the mind turns towards itself for the first time. This is a major turning point. Here the person does not ask, am I right or wrong? Nor do they ask, does someone love me or not? Here the question is, what is actually happening inside me? Śaivāchāra does not begin with any spiritual practice. It does not start with a mantra, a ritual or a guru. It begins with exhaustion. The exhaustion that comes from constantly following rules. The exhaustion that comes from losing oneself in relationships. The exhaustion that arises when a person realizes, I am doing everything, yet something still feels incomplete. From here, the person takes a small step back, for the first time. They do not run away from the outer world, but they begin to look at the inner world. In Tantric language, it is said that in Śaivāchāra, a person moves towards the Sakshi Bhava, the state of the witness. In psychological terms, this is called introspective awareness. Let me share another short story. There is a person. He lived his life following rules. Then he immersed himself in relationships. But now he is tired. One day, after an argument, he is sitting alone. The phone is in his hand, but he does not feel like calling anyone. For the first time, he realizes, maybe I don't need anyone right now. Maybe I need to understand myself. He does not go to learn meditation. He does not make any big spiritual decision. He simply learns to sit quietly. And in that silence, he notices something strange. His thoughts. He sees thoughts coming and going. Emotions rising and falling. Anger comes, then passes. Sadness comes, then becomes lighter. And for the first time he realizes, I am not these thoughts. I am not these emotions. This is where Śaivāchāra begins. The Śaivāchāra mind is not driven by external authority or attachment. It learns to move through awareness. Now this person does not jump into everything. He observes, he reflects, he understands. That is why in Śaivāchāra a person often appears a little distanced. They prefer speaking less. Crowds start to feel exhausting. Interest in drama reduces. People say, you have changed. You are not the same as before. And that is true. But there is a danger here as well. In Śaivāchāra, a person begins to observe emotions, but sometimes they also start suppressing them. Because observing emotions is easier, but fully feeling them can still be frightening. That is why some people become cold in Śaivāchāra. Not detached, but disconnected. Tantra gives a very clear warning here. Śaivāchāra does not mean running away from emotions. Śaivāchāra means being able to see emotions exactly as they are. Psychologically, this state says, I can observe everything that arises within me without drowning in it. This is a very powerful state. At this stage, a person moves from reaction to response. They no longer respond instantly. They pause. And in that pause, there is freedom. But if this stage is not fully integrated, the person can slip into a sense of superiority. They start feeling, I am more aware. Others are still unconscious. This is spiritual ego. and Tantra considers this to a subtle form of bondage. The purpose of Śaivāchāra is not isolation. Its purpose is clarity. When clarity arises, the person begins to understand that neither rules were the problem nor relationships. The problem was living unconsciously. Now slowly they begin to see their conditioning, childhood patterns, fears, attachment styles. And this very seeing becomes healing. But here an even deeper question arises. If I am only the observer, then where is living? This is where the limit of Śaivāchāra appears. Tantra says that becoming only the witness is not enough. Life must also be lived. Desire exists, energy exists, Shakti exists. And from here the journey moves towards Dakshināchāra, where engagement with life begins along with awareness. But that is for the next video. For today, it is important to understand this. Śaivāchāra is the stage where a person for the first time can see their own mind as an object. This is a very big step, but it is not the final one. If you feel that you have started moving away from external validation, if you have begun to enjoy being alone, if you have started observing your thoughts and emotions, then it is possible that you are touching the psychological stage of Śaivāchāra. And there is nothing wrong with that. The problem arises only when observation turns into disconnection from life. In the coming videos, we will talk about Dakshināchāra, where self-control, awareness and life learn to move together. If you want to understand this entire journey step by step, if you want to take Tantra out of fear and mystery and understand it in the language of mind and everyday life, stay connected with this channel. Subscribe, because this is not just information. This is a journey of consciousness. And the next stage will be even more practical.